And tonight, a WECT Investigates report looking into claims that the developer of a massive project in New Hanover County is lying about its credentials.
Copper Builders is looking to transform the Castle Hayne area with thousands of new homes. WECT's Connor Smith dug into a complaint against the developer filed with the state's Attorney General. Connor, what did you find out?
Well, Fran, a neighbor in Castle Hayne says he noticed a Better Business Bureau seal on the developer's website. But the problem is Copper Builders is not BBB accredited. Neighbors say it's yet another example of the developer just not playing by the rules. The latest controversy involving the group behind the Sledge Forest development. Neighbor Carrie Bogart calls it yet another red flag.
I'd like people to really look at patterns here and look at patterns of behavior with this company.
One of Bogart's neighbors, Scott Gallagher, filed this complaint with Attorney General Jeff Jackson's office. The issue is this seal on Copper Builders' website. It says the developer is accredited with the Better Business Bureau. But when we clicked on the seal, the BBB's website says the company is not accredited.
To claim you have an accreditation that you haven't earned is very concerning to me.
The Bureau's website says an accredited business is held to higher standards of trust, including honest advertisement. Copper Builders not responding to our request for an interview. The developer wants to build roughly 2,000 homes in this quiet community in the Castle Hayne area.
It would completely change the character of my town.
Neighbors have voiced opposition to the project for over a year now. A petition against the project racking up more than 12,000 signatures.
It's inappropriate and it's not good for the area.
This isn't the first controversy involving the developer. New Hanover County hit Copper Builders founder Wade Miller with permit violations last spring. Those were tied to this mobile structure. And then over the summer, Miller faced hundreds of dollars in fines over this floating home.
It does feel like a red flag to us. It just feels like we're not being given the straight story all the time.
Now another story about this project before construction has even started. And we reached out to the Better Business Bureau for more clarity today, specifically if Copper Builders has ever been accredited, and if so, why they no longer are. We did not get a response. Fran?
Connor, what happens next with this complaint?
Yeah, we reached out to the Attorney General's office and did not hear back. It is unclear what penalties the developer could face here. New Hanover County still reviewing Copper Builders' development application.
All right, keep us updated, Connor. Thanks.